Hello there, very good evening. This is the news at 9, coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst Centre here in Colombo. I'm Joel Outspoon.
And I'm Katharina Chang.
Well, now, Visakha Vidyalaya Colombo was crowned the winners of The Debater with AAT program organised by Sirasa TV this evening.
We have the full story later on in the news, but before that, let's take a look at tonight's headlines.
Dedicated company to be established to exploit oil and gas deposits in the Mannar Basin. Mystery of the missing vehicles at the Presidential Secretariats taken up in Parliament. 5,000 quack doctors across the island. Schoolboy dies during a marathon.
The 2015 Budget Estimate Amendment was taken up in Parliament once again today. Let's take a look at some of the views expressed during the debate.
This country too must achieve energy self-sufficiency. We have discovered gas deposits 3,800 meters underground in the Mannar Basin in the Dorado area. The time has come to bring this gas resource above ground so that it can serve the needs of the 20 million people of this country. This is the era when we should turn this into our national wealth. We must establish a national oil production company for this purpose. It will be this national oil production company that will determine our future and the wealth of our nation for the next 3 decades. We must devise price formulas for oil and power that are transparent so everyone can see how the price is determined. We hope to produce a national oil policy for this country that everyone can accept within the next 3 months.
The story of the budget is I'll give it to you later. It has become a budget of promised benefits. I must first mention that it is the budget made in preparation for an election, a strong and stable economy. We in the Mahajan Exat Peramuna do not want to see it collapse. Honorable Prime Minister, the item on day 2 on the 100-day agenda is to enact a code of conduct is to be adhered to by all public representatives. But on this day, the members in Vattala were assaulted. Is this the code of conduct you mentioned in your manifesto?
We have straightened out law and ethics in this country. I believe it would be good if we can introduce a code of conduct for these institutions and the media, because we cannot take any legal action in terms of these institutions. That is correct. These institutions and the media had fallen to a level where no one took any notice.
When will you place some legal conclusions regarding this before the country?
This is why we need to reinstate the 17th Amendment. We are faced with legal obstacles. If you clarify all of this for us, then we can initiate this process within a month or a month and a half.
Well, now questions were raised in Parliament today regarding vehicles belonging to the Presidential Secretariat. We'll have a comprehensive report coming up later on the news. But moving on to more news this evening, the fundamental rights petition filed by attorney at law Manjushree Chandrasena over the disruption on the transmission of the Satana program on Sirasa TV on the 22nd of November last year was taken up at Supreme Court today. The petition was considered before a 3-member bench comprising of Justice Upalia Beratna, Priyasad Depp and Bhuwana Kaluviharaya.
Sri Lanka Telecom, the Telecommunications Regulatory Commission, the former Secretary of the Ministry of Mass Media and Information, Charitha Herath, former Subject Minister Kelly Rambukwala and the Attorney General have been cited as respondents in this petition. The Honourable Supreme Court informed us that since the positions of the Secretary to the Ministry and the Minister have changed, we should amend it so the correct persons are included and then the case can be taken up. Representing SLT in court today, President's Counsel Ali Sabri inquired whether the petitioner was willing to reach a settlement. Lawyer appearing for the petitioner noted that since this was a petition filed in view of ensuring the security of the media in the country, they do not wish to reach a settlement. Accordingly, court ordered that the petition be taken up on the 7th of May.
We are taking a firm stand and we are hoping for a set of guidelines from the Supreme Court on media freedom. The media should not be obstructed when dispensing news or information among the people. If there is any person able to do so, then it is our intention to prevent that from happening. We will continue forward with this case. We will not settle.
The Court of Appeal announced today that the proposed 3 days for submission to be made in terms of a barbaric complaint against former Chief Justice Mohan Piris cannot be granted. The plaintiffs in this case had requested that the 6th, 9th and 10th of February be allocated for submissions to be made.
Attorney-at-law N.B. Kurituwaku and Customs Officer R. Ratnasiri recently lodged a complaint against the former Chief Justice, claiming that Mohan Piris, through inaction, had deprived the state of 619 million rupees in revenue during his tenure as Attorney General. The plaintiffs had also sought the impounding of Mohan Piris' passport. They filed a written petition at the Court of Appeal seeking an order for the same, as the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption had reportedly not taken any steps to prevent Piris from travelling abroad. Court informed the plaintiffs today that it would not allow the proposed 3 days for submissions to be made.
They have decided that the case cannot be taken up today, neither can it be taken up on Monday or Tuesday. So the question must definitely arise among the people in this country as to whether this is the independence of the judiciary that they had hoped for.
Welcome back to the news. The members of the Voice Against Corruption movement inspected a plot of land on Bauda Lokama of the Colombo yesterday. They speculate that suspicions have arisen pertaining to the ownership of the land on which the Russian embassy complex is being built. Meanwhile, issuing a communique, the Russian embassy had noted that the land was purchased from the state in order to build the embassy complex.
The members of the Voice Against Corruption movement arrived at the construction site at number 404 Badaloka Martha, Colombo, accompanied by a woman who claims to be the rightful owner of the land in question.
Who are the legal owners? Yeah, y'all can see this. මේ ඔක්කොම තියෙද්දි කොහොමද මේව කරන්න කියන එක තමයි අපිට තියෙන එකම සැකේ. මේක අපේ පෞද්ගලික ඉඩමක්. හරිද? මේක රෂ්‍යානු තානාධිපති.
This is our private land. They are constructing a building here without informing us that it has been acquired by the Russian embassy. This is why my father was killed near the Borala junction on the 9th of February 2007. We went to the high authorities and demanded justice, but it was not served. We have the original deed. Although we went to court, they did not come there to discuss it. We went to every court, including the High Court. Minister Mervyn Silva, the underworld leader known as Prince Kolam. All of them win on this. We are hoping that this government will rectify the injustice that was done to us.
Even though the group attempted to enter the location, they were not permitted to do so. The group entered the premises despite being denied permission. A tense situation arose thereafter.
Leave this area.
The Borala police were called in as a result.
As per the land laws in the country, as per the acquisitions laws in the country, no one has acquired lands more than 4.5 acres in size. We are here to question the owners in this regard. We would like to ask the government. Soon after they lost the vote on the 9th, they removed the board that was erected at the gate here. That is when we realized that this was not a genuine acquisition. We know that this is not the Russian embassy that is being built here.
The rightful owners have come to see us with the relevant files. They have with them all the files that verify their ownership. That is the reason why the members of the Voice Against Corruption are here today, and we are here today to verify who the rightful owners are. It is very clear that there has been no legal acquisition. Therefore, the Voice Against Corruption will take legal action.
Meanwhile, the Russian embassy issued a communique clarifying the matter. The embassy notes that the land is being used to build a new complex of the embassy of the Russian Federation. The communique goes on to note that the new complex of the Russian embassy in Sri Lanka, which is being built at number 404 Badaloka Martha, was attacked by an aggressive crowd. The communique also notes that the Russian embassy had acquired the land from the Sri Lankan government as per the deed 2846, signed on the 26th of March 1986. weeks. The communique goes on to note that the diplomatic status of the property has never been in dispute or violated before. The embassy has requested the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to take relevant measures necessary to avoid such incidents in the future. The Russian embassy also submitted to Newsfirst a copy of a document purported to be the deed for the plot of land in question.
A group including Western Provincial Councillor, Attorney at Law Sisira Jalkodi lodged a complaint with the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption today against alleged acts of financial fraud committed by former Minister Mervyn Silva.
The complaint claims that funds were misused through an account established under the Pipidena Kalaniya Development Foundation.
We lodged this complaint against the former minister. While he was the organizer for the Kelani electorate, he had forcefully and inappropriately collected funds and used it for his personal benefit. We have lodged this complaint against the fraud he has committed.
Meanwhile, Upendra Silva, a member of the board of directors of the Cashew Corporation, arrived at the commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption this morning. His purpose was to lodge a complaint regarding corruption and fraud that has taken place at the Cashew Corporation in the recent past.
All I have to say is that more than in any other public institution in the country, those who held directorial positions in the Cashew Corporation committed fraud and corruption as if they were eating cashew nuts. We have calculated that every month they took away massive amounts of cashew nuts worth 200,000 rupees from stores under the purview of the corporation for almsgiving and other events at various homes, including the ancestral home in Medamulana. The Cashew Corporation store in Kolpeti was turned into a cave of thieves. We were under the fear of death because we understood that if we intervened, they would come abduct us in white vans and our children would be in danger. We were unable to fulfill our duty. I am a sales manager at the National Savings Bank. If there is an opportunity for me to reveal all the thievery that was committed by the former astrologer director of this bank, then I am prepared to reveal all, including how they committed fraud on fuel purchases through conferences and various other means.
The best wishes of the Chinese president were conveyed to the new government and the president in Colombo today. The message was conveyed by the visiting special envoy of the Chinese president and China's deputy minister of foreign affairs, Liu Jiangchao, this morning.
The visiting Chinese Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs had noted during his meeting with President Maithripala Sirisena that two Chinese magazines have made positive remarks about the Sri Lankan president. The Chinese envoy had pledged that the country aims to further strengthen a long-lasting Sino-Lanka diplomatic ties. Liu Jiangchao had also assured China's fullest support in Sri Lanka's development activities. President Maithripala Sirisena extended an open invitation to China's investors. Subsequent to his meeting with the president, the Chinese envoy called on Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe at Temple Trees today. Discussions centered on China's contribution in development activities undertaken in the country, strengthening Sino-Lanka relations and programs undertaken by the new government.
The long-standing debate over the position of Chief Minister of the Eastern Province was settled today. The Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, Hafiz Nazir Ahmed, took oath today as the Chief Minister of the Eastern Province at the Governor's office in Trincomalee. He was sworn in before the Governor of the Eastern Province, Austin Fernando.
Around the globe, the wealth gap, or the gap between the rich and the poor, is seen as a key issue in development. Sajid Premadas, the new Minister of Housing and Samruddhi, believes that in Sri Lanka too, addressing the wealth gap is a primary concern. However, he does not believe that it is solely the government's responsibility.
While the richest 20% of our country share 53% of national income, the poorest 20% have a measly share of 4%. However much we listen to the various declarations, proclamations, grandiose populism and vocal speeches. It is this discrepancy, this imbalance, this social injustice we all have to address. It cannot just be done by governmental action alone. We must have the support of those who are well off in society.
Minister Sajith Premadasa was the chief guest at the launch of the Build Sri Lanka 2015 Expo organised by the Chamber of Construction Industry of Sri Lanka. The expo is organised with the objective of highlighting the positive growth and development that has taken place recently in both urban and rural areas of Sri Lanka, and also exhibits the new technology and the latest methods of construction available to the industry.
As mentioned earlier on in the bulletin, questions were raised in Parliament today regarding vehicles belonging to the Presidential Secretariat.
හිටපු ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ පාලනය තුල ජනාධිපති ලේකම් කාර්යාලයට
The media has reported that a large number of vehicles belonging to the Presidential Secretariat under the regime of the former President have been discovered, and that the fate of some vehicles has not been ascertained. These vehicles have been purchased using the wealth they collected through limitless taxation. It is the responsibility of all rulers to correctly hand over all assets when they are leaving power. But what has happened now is that the defenders are being found under trees and various vehicles are being found in closed garages. What is the situation here? I have referred this to the Presidential Secretariat and the President, but we are unable to offer a response today. These vehicles are in the possession of various persons. Since you spoke about the managers, I will not speak further on it. We still do not know where they purchased it from, what was purchased and where it is being kept. We do not even know whether there were Lamborghinis, Toyotas or Nanos. We will do whatever possible to furnish a report for you by tomorrow.
වාහන තැන් තැන්වල තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. ලිපිගොනුත් තැන් තැන්වල තියෙන්න පුළුවන්.
The vehicles can be in various places. Even the files could be in various places. When a vehicle is purchased through the Presidential Secretariat, the files should be at the Secretariat. Even if the vehicles are distributed to their kith and kin, it is the vehicles that are being distributed, not the files. What I would like to ask you is if the files are also missing. This was an unusual regime. There are no files. We will have to resort to asking Sumanadasa where all these things are.
Meanwhile, Chief Government Whip Ganth Karunathilaka said that the remarks made in Parliament with regard to the Uma oil project will be taken into consideration. The Environment Impact Assessment was granted approval on the 12th of April 2011. Construction on the project commenced in May 2011. The approved procedure has not been violated. Second, you ask what steps have been taken to address the social and environmental impact of the project. The following steps have been taken to review and resolve social and environmental problems. Suitable lands have been identified for those who are losing their homes, and steps have been taken to construct homes and resettled 137 families. At the same time, experts from the Central Environmental Authority and the Advisory Council on Engineering Affairs have been dispatched to the area, and based on their recommendation, a future course of action will be decided.
The alternative group of the JVP has dubbed as farcical the actions of the current government with regard to allegations of bribery and corruption. Addressing a media briefing in Colombo today, Andrew Polgampola had this to say.
In the morning, they say they have seized various things from various places. They talk about how they captured great thieves. In the evening, the secretaries of the ministries say that it was legitimate. They say that it was done in line with procedure. These are the jokes they provided us with. The first pledge of this government was to catch the thieves. The process of catching these thieves has now been transformed into the process of impounding passports. This is not what the people of this country hoped for. If they have destroyed national wealth, they must be brought before the law. We say, do not deceive the people. Do not lie to the people.
The Government Medical Officers Association states that there are a total of 5,026 quack doctors in the island. Following a census carried out across 5 provinces, the percentage of individuals impersonating as doctors in comparison to the registered number of doctors stood at a staggering 22.5%. The census was carried out in the western, southern, northern, Sabragamo and Uva provinces.
It has been revealed that around 2,455 individuals impersonating as doctors have been reported from the Western Province alone. Taking into account these numbers as a percentage, 34.8% from the Gampar district, 26.1% from the Colombo district and 12.6% has been reported from the Kalatura district. As a percentage, 32.5% individuals impersonating as doctors have been reported from the Northern Province. Meanwhile, 19.4% has been reported from Ratnapura, 21.8% has been reported from Kegol, which falls under Sabaragamuwa Province. Statistics from the Southern Province indicate that 18.7% quack doctors have been reported from Galle, 22.1% from Mathura and 16.2% from Hambantota. Meanwhile, the percentage of quack doctors in Badul and Monaragala stood at 15.6 and 18.4% respectively.
Through this, we are trying to create awareness. This could pose a lot of threats to the country's health sector. Secondly, since medicine is prescribed by unqualified doctors, the health of the patient is under threat. We have seen some children going blind and some even dying after consuming paracetamol at the Negombo hospital.
Doctors serving in the island are registered under 3 categories, namely Western medical practitioners, Ayurvedic doctors or homeopathy doctors. The GMOA points out that although attempts were made to nab quack doctors, medical associations have failed to provide full support.
අපි කරන ලද ඉල්ලීම අනුව 2007 වර්ෂයේදී යම්කිසි ක්‍රමවේදයක් හැදුවා මේ තුනම ආවරණය කරන්න.
One could request all 3 medical associations to send the nomination once the circular is released. The police in charge of a certain area could observe whether the name of the relevant doctor is on that list. But unfortunately, even at an instance where the Sri Lanka Medical Doctors Association gives out the name list of the Western doctors, the other 2 associations are yet to release the name list of the genuine doctors. But according to the law, only a fine is imposed on these individuals who impersonate as doctors. We have made a request to the former Health Minister, now President Maithripala Sirisena, to send an order imprisoning such individuals for 5 years. Therefore, an order was issued on the 2nd of February 2012 requesting that provisions be made for this. It has been 3 years since, but provisions are yet to be made. Be it the private or the public sector, the country's health ministry is held responsible.
When News First contacted the Secretary to the Ministry of Health, Dr. D.M.R.B. Dissanayake, he noted that he would study the matter and then issue a statement.
Well, if you're in Colombo, it's time to fill your buckets. The National Water Supply and Drainage Board says that a 30-hour water cut will be imposed from 9 a.m. tomorrow in several areas in Colombo. Now, according to a notice issued by the NWSDB, the water cut will be in effect in Colombo 1 to 14, expect from Colombo 4, 5 and 6 due to an urgent repair. However, the water supply in Colombo 4, 5 and 6 will be supplied at low pressure. The National Water Supply and Drainage Board says that the general public can contact them for any inquiries on the number 1939. The number once again is 1939. Meanwhile, a 9-hour water cut will be imposed in several areas in the Gampar district tomorrow.
We met these mourning families at the Ambalantota hospital.
A schoolboy in Ambalantota passed away today while running in a marathon. The deceased was a grade 10 student from the Bolana Mahavidyalaya in Ambalantota. Our correspondent said that the student who ran in a marathon across the village was already dead when he was brought to the hospital.
The marathon was limited to 5 kilometers. When he arrived at the 1.5 kilometer mark, a child collapsed. The mother was also present at the time and she brought him in for first aid and took him in a vehicle.
The child was in my schoolhouse under my watch. The child started the marathon saying that he will bring points to the house. I saw him passing the 500-meter mark and he even surpassed one other contender. And then we saw him being taken away in a vehicle from afar. but we were not certain what had happened. Only after the marathon did news come to us that he had collapsed and that he was taken to the hospital. This is the loss of a shining star for the school.
එයා ඇත්තටම පන්තියේ දක්ෂ ළමෙක් හැමවාරෙම පන්තියේ පළවෙනි හරි දෙවෙනි හරි වෙනවා මැරතන් එකට යන්න කලිනුත් කිව්වා යාළුවන්ට කිව්ව සුබපතන්න කියලා එයාට සුබපතන්න කියලා මැරතන් එකෙන් දිනන්න කියලා.
The school sports director B.A. Aberatna said that the student in question was subject to a medical examination prior to the event.
The Ministry of Health had issued a document to schools dated the 13th of March 2013 bearing the signature of the Secretary of the Ministry, citing the steps that need to be followed before a student can participate in a sports event. The Ministry had also advised that the students be examined and that they obtain an ECG report. The principal notified us with regard to this as he was informed by the Zonal Education Director. We have also requested for a report from the Southern Province Education Director. All schools have paid special attention in order to prevent such occurrences.
Another tragic incident of a 2.5-year-old being run over by a jeep was reported in Natolpitia, Tangol. The police said that the child, who was travelling in a three-wheeler with her relatives, was run over by a jeep as she got off the three-wheeler while the vehicle was being reversed. The deceased child was a resident of Mudugamo, Valigama.
Visakha Vidyalaya Colombo emerged victorious at the grand final of Season 3 of The Debater with AAT on Sirius TV this evening. The opponents in the final were Dharmaraja College, Kandy.
The final contest of The Debater with AAT, which promotes a new experience for debating in Sri Lanka, was held at Stein Studios in Ratmalana this evening.
The Debater!
Grand finale!
Following a lapse of 52 weeks, 75 schools in the island contested in the third edition of this contest, and Visakha Vidyalaya of Colombo and Dharmaraj College of Kandy qualified for the final stage. The panel of judges consisted of 7 eminent personalities. Dharmaraj College, who were the proposer team, entered the competition under the timely topic, "It is necessary to completely abolish the executive presidency." Visakha Vidyalaya Colombo were the opposition.
දහට පරිච්ඡින්න කළ 17 වෙනි සංශෝධනයේ බලාත්මක කිරීම වගේ අත්නෝමතික බලතල පාලනය කරන දුරේ විසින් ක්‍රමය පාලනය කරනවා වෙනුවට ක්‍රමය විසින් දුරේ පාලනය කරන පාලනයක් තමයි අපිට අවශ්‍ය.
The final competition consisted of 4 rounds, and Prasani Gunathilaka of Visakha Vidyalaya was adjudged the best debater. Visakha Vidyalaya were crowned champions of Season 3 of The Debater.
UMP Western Provincial Councillor Jayantha De Silva participated at an event held in Colombo today.
Insurance plans were provided at this event to block cart operators and porters who transport goods in the Peta area. If these people break a leg or even if they fall ill, they have no means of getting to work. Thereby, we have taken up the initiative to provide these workers an insurance scheme through the Insurance Corporation. We are undertaking this task not keeping in mind any hidden political agenda or racial difference.
මේ හැම දෙයක්ම කරන්නේ දේශපාලන බෙදයක් ජාති බෙදයක් නැතුව අපි හැම දෙනාටම මේ ප්‍රඥා ප්‍රතිනිධිතුලින් තමයි සහනය ලැබලා දෙන්නේ.
In business news this evening, the Lanka Vehicle Importers Association says that the Finance Minister has refused their request for the tax on hybrid vehicles to be reduced. However, the association noted that the Minister had agreed conditionally to provide concessions for people who open letters of credit to personally imported hybrid vehicles before the budget was presented in Parliament.
The prices of hybrid vehicles have increased by between 700,000 and 1.2 million rupees as a result of the tax proposed by the interim budget. Importers noted that they would be unable to bear the cost, while people who had already opened letters of credit to personally imported vehicles requested that they be provided with some concession. The Finance Minister had granted the Lanka Vehicle Importers Association an opportunity to hold talks on the matter today.
We explained the situation extensively to the Minister. His conclusion was that we could discuss individual matters and take the sector forward, but that the taxes would not be reduced. Let us say that is okay. We will be able to adjust the new taxes in the future. But we stress on the demand to provide concessions for those who have open letters of credit. There are 300 to 400 vehicles that have been imported by people, including the elderly, and he pledged to provide a concession to a certain extent. We were disappointed at the classification of private importers. If we ask the Minister for something and we don't get it, then we will go above him. This is not finished. We are hoping to meet with the Prime Minister or the President as a next step. Do not pay this tax and obtain vehicles yet.
He said that if the vehicle that they bring down are transferred at the RMV and if a business is taking place there, then a 4-year non-negotiable clause should be introduced. In truth, that is good for the spirit of the industry.
Condition එකක් දානවා කියලා. ඒක ඇත්තටම මේ ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකේ උන්නතියට, කියන්නේ අපේ මේ ව්‍යාපාරයේ උන්නතියට හොඳ දෙයක්.
Pakistan's High Commissioner in Sri Lanka, Qasim Qureshi, says that the Kashmir issue is the main stumbling block in making SAARC an effective entity. Addressing a seminar on the Kashmir dispute in the regional perspective, Qureshi had this to say.
There was a mention about SAARC, and it is often said that SAARC is not a very effective forum. Yes, SAARC is not a very effective forum. It can be a very useful vehicle to economically integrate the region. And in this age of globalization, you all know that regions that are well integrated economically are developing very fast. ASEAN is a good example. And so therefore, till such time there is rivalry between India and Pakistan, the possibility of development of SAARC into an economically integrated region does not exist that much. I must let you know that from the Pakistan point of view, Pakistan views SAARC as a very important organization, and we would want to work towards strengthening of SAARC and making it a vehicle of economic integration.
The seminar was held in Colombo last evening on the occasion of Kashmir Solidarity Day. The event was attended by a large number of participants, including diplomats, academics and Pakistani community based in Sri Lanka, and a large contingent of media personnel.
In the face of mounting pressure to give up his seat, Australia's Prime Minister Tony Abbott is standing firm, having apparently secured the support of Liberal Party Deputy Leader and Foreign Minister Julie Bishop.
Liberal MP Luke Simpkins has confirmed that he will push for a spill of the party's leadership positions on Tuesday morning, possibly unseating Abbott, who has only served as Prime Minister for 16 months.
Battle for leadership. It was Kevin Rudd from the Labour Party who lost his battle to Julia Gillard, and now it's a Tony Abbott's turn.
I want to make this very simple point.
Embattled but unwavering, Abbott was brimming with confidence this afternoon when he made a brief statement to reporters. He said he and Julie Bishop, the Australian Minister of External Affairs, would stand against the spill motion.
We are not the Labor Party. We are not the Labor Party, and we are not going to repeat the chaos and the instability of the Labor years. So I have spoken to Deputy Leader Julie Bishop, and we will stand together in urging the party room to defeat this particular motion.
Bishop issued a statement saying that due to cabinet solidarity, she agreed there should be support for the current leadership team in the spill motion. However, her statement made no mention of whether she would stand with Abbott on a joint ticket in the event the spill motion succeeds. Simpkin's spill motion will be seconded by MP Don Randall, with the third Western Australia Liberal, Dennis Jensen, saying he will support it. With Bishop seemingly siding with Abbott, it appears his main challenger in a fight for the leadership will be Communications Minister Malcolm Turnbull. Opinion polls have consistently shown voters prefer Turnbull to lead the Liberal Party, but he has his internal critics. Turnbull previously held the leadership in opposition, but was ultimately brought down by one vote in a party room ballot by none other than Abbott himself. A spill vote in Australian politics indicates that the leadership positions are vacant and up for grabs. The vote can be done in secret or by show of hands.
It's unclear at the moment. It does appear that there is a bit of a coordinated campaign going on, but there's been talk about this for a while, and we don't know exactly if there is going to be a candidate, but no particular candidate has put themselves, or he or she has put themselves forward. But it does appear that it's completely on here in Australia, and Tony Abbott is looking increasingly threatened. He's being described as embattled, and this is going to be the toughest thing for his leadership. He's been in power for 400 days.
Nalini Silva, the Secretary of the Sri Lanka Rugby Football Union, says that players from the Hambantota Sharks and CHNFC teams, which have withdrawn from the Interclub Premier League tournament, have the opportunity to continue playing for the other teams. Speaking to Sports First, the SLRFU Secretary noted that the fixtures for the second round of the tournament had to be amended due to the withdrawal of the two teams.
Week 4 of the second round of the Interclub Premier League rugby tournament gets underway tomorrow. Kandy SC are currently leading the points table with 50 points coming of 8 wins in 10 matches. Havelocks SC are only 2 points behind in second place. Navy SC are in third place on the points table with 45 points.
Hambantota Sharks played 2 matches and the points from those matches have been annulled. CHNFC have not played any matches in the second round and therefore there has been no impact. The council has gone beyond usual regulations and has decided that the Sri Lankan players in these teams and the foreign players too will be able to play for any of the other teams by registering within the next 48 hours.
Well, before wrapping up the news tonight, here's reminding you that you could log on to our award-winning website, www.newsfirst.lk.
And I'm Katharina Chang. Have a pleasant evening.
And I'm Joel Alskun. Take care and good night.